Right, Luke, I've got some news about everybody's favourite franchise. Fantastic Beasts 4 update confirms Harry Potter franchise must move on. So this is basically the revelation that they are now deciding that they're not going to bother continuing the Fantastic Beasts films because, of course, you had the first one, which was kind of boring, the second one, which was very bad, and the third one, which was apparently better but not that much better, and flopped. And they said that they were considering whether or not they were going to do, continue the franchise depending on how Secrets of Dumbledore performed. And of course, it didn't perform very well. So yeah,
it's barely made its budget back.
Yes, exactly, and it's pretty shocking because obviously, there is something inherently satisfying about these massive, almost I guess the phrase they use is too big to fail franchises just flopping and getting abandoned. There is something. Take that, Hollywood.
Very, very satisfying. Yes, I agree. Yeah. No, I think obviously there is so much bullshit in these Harry Potter movies, and there is so much bullshit in the Fantastic Beasts movies. But the difference is the Harry Potter movies are fun and are escapist. If you remove that, then
the Fantastic Beasts films are miserable.
Yes, it's just not going to work, and it's meant to be about magic. It can't be taken seriously, really. Yeah, it's going to collapse, and eventually it did, which is amazing. How the author couldn't understand what made her first movies.
Yeah, her own.
The most successful, one of the most successful franchises ever. What made that good? We're just going to remove that from these new movies.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I guess you could say this franchise wasn't so fantastic. Good.
Okay, that's good.
Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke. And this week we are celebrating the 20-year anniversary. I believe probably quite close to this time when this film was released, which was The Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So yeah, I think the reason we're doing it this week is because it's around the time it was released. So Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets?
That's funny, Michael. What did you say? Around the time when it's been released?
Yeah, I would see sometimes you do that, and I thought maybe you would have done that in this case.
Okay, well, let's see if you're right. So anyway, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is a 2002 fantasy film directed by Chris Columbus and distributed by Warner Brothers, based on J.K. Rowling's 1998 novel of the same name. Well, we won't be hearing that sentence for a while. Warner Brothers producing something based on J.K. Rowling's work.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So the film stars Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, Kenneth Branagh, John Cleese, Robbie Coltrane, who of course recently has passed away.
Yes, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
to a real one.
Yes, he of course plays Hagrid. Warwick Davis, Richard Griffiths, Richard Harris, Jason Isaacs, Alan Rickman.
Yes,
Alan Rickman.
I can't believe he's lower than Warwick Davis.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Fiona Shaw, Maggie Smith, and Julie Walters. To be fair, from Kenneth Branagh down, it is all just alphabetical. So
okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. The top three, of course, Radcliffe, Grint, and Watson get top billing.
Yes.
The movie was released, Michael, on... Wait, what's the date today, Michael?
It's the 15th of November as we're recording.
And the movie was released in 2002 on the 15th of November.
Ah, yes, well done. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was going to be that it was way off, and that's where you were. Or if, well done. Good job.
Good job.
Good reason to do it.
That's why I suspended it a day. Okay. Can we have the budget, please, for Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets?
It would be useful if I remember what the first one was. I really don't make things easy for myself because I feel like I would be entitled to check that information out and I just don't. So, 100 million?
You got it.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah, the big round number, 100 million. Yep, that's what it says on Wikipedia, so well done.
2 fat ladies and a skinny lady, as they say.
Yes. What about the box office, though? How much did it rake in?
It raked in. See, I've got to bear in mind, this was back, nowadays, I feel like a lot of these films, films make billions now, but this was before then, so I don't think it made $1 billion, but let's say it made 800 million.
Okay, you're not quite there, Michael. It's 879.
Okay.
which was about, from my calculations, 21 plus 44 equals 65. 65 million off the good old Two Towers, which narrowly beat it to the highest grossing movie of 2002. Wow. Yeah. Isn't that fun, by the way? 2002 has the second Harry Potter movie and the second
Lord of the Rings. No, yeah, I really do enjoy that myself.
Yes. Oh, sorry, it was 947, so yeah, 68.
Yeah, if only Spider-Man 2 had been released then as well.
Okay, yeah, great. So, Michael, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, did you like this movie?
Well, look, there has been some accusations going around that I simp for J.K. Rowling.
Why would that be? I remember.
It's because I agree with her Blairite politics and her objection to Jeremy Corbyn's anti-Semitism, of course.
You gave this the predecessor to this movie a 9 out of 10.
Oh, did I? You know what? I was thinking about this. Okay, so that's interesting because I was trying to remember what I gave that. Because here's the thing, I like this film, and I would go further and say I think this is the best Harry Potter film, and I would go further and say that I actually think this is the best fantasy action adventure film ever, of all time. And I when we were talking about some of the stuff, I didn't get the impression that you were likely to agree with me on this. I will say very briefly that I think that this film has very good world building, and it has a good mystery, and there's like a nice mix of like high stakes, but also there's like fun. And I do have 2 criticisms right towards the end, but those are the only major criticisms I have. And overall, I think this film is very well done, and I think it's something that actually other fantasy action adventure films should really aspire to in terms of what it's got going on. And I'm sorry, Luke, that I hate Jeremy Corbyn so much that I would say that. Now, what do you think? Are you supposed to be silent? Are you doing that for effect, or have you muted yourself?
The best fantasy action movie of all time.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah, it's good. The thing is, I know that this film, I'm aware that this film, in like certain rankings, is rated as the worst Harry Potter film.
Yes.
And I'm so contrarian. Because, I mean, let's bear in mind, okay, the thing is, I made the joke about like simping for J.K. Rowling. It's worth noting, not only do I not like any of the Fantastic Beasts films, I don't really like any of the other Harry Potter films. And actually, when we get to Prisoner of Azkaban, I think I'm going to be saying that I think it's actually overrated. So it's not that I love J.K. Rowling and worship her at her feet and think she made the best films ever. I genuinely just really, really like the first 2 Harry Potter films.
It's just that we've done 2 Harry Potter movies, and you said the first one was a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
And now you're saying the second one is the best fantasy action movie of all time. And in general, The Philosopher's Stone is considered to be an average Harry Potter movie, and this one, like you said, is considered to be possibly the worst. Yeah,
but I mean, again, it's... see, the thing is, I will accept that I have an unconventional take on Harry Potter, but I do want it on the record.
Very unconventional.
That it's not that I'm like some kind of raving Potterhead, because yeah, like I say, I think the rest of the Wizarding World franchise is pretty boring. But for some reason, I just love this film. These 2 films, but this film even more so than the last one.
This is what I'll say. You mentioned that you like the world building, okay?
Yeah.
And I also like the world building. I think the world building is a great idea for a second. Well, not so much world building. You have these fantasy movies. What is a great idea for a second installment is going into the lore, like the backstory, because you set the world up in the first movie, and then you go into the lore, like the background, the history, which this movie does. I like that. I've written down in this review, which we'll get to. I like the concept.
Yes.
It's just it is executed poorly. It is not executed well.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see what areas, because I will say again, I have 2 criticisms of this film. Which the thing is, we're going to have to wait until right at the end before I get into them.
What? Just tell me what are they?
Okay, I'll tell you what they are in very brief terms.
Yes.
One, I think that there should have been more time spent with Tom Riddle's diary. Like, I do think it's a wasted opportunity that only happens for one scene. because I think it was a great opportunity, to add more to like the backstory of Voldemort. And 2, I think it would have been better if Harry and Ron, this might sound like a minor criticism, but I think it would have been better if Harry and Ron had worked out more of the stuff at the end for themselves, rather than just like Hermione having solved it all off screen. And that might sound like a minor criticism, but I actually think like the mystery of this film, and like, what is the monster? What's that weird, because there's like a lot of kind of creepy mystery happening in the background,
You're
like
right.
the monster walking. And like, I feel like that would have been a better deliver to be like, they work it out rather than just like, oh, Hermione solved it off screen. So those are my two criticisms.
It's an intriguing mystery that this story presents. It's just the way the mystery is solved. Like you mentioned, one problem with the mystery being solved. There are, I think, several more problems.
Yeah, okay. See, I might be interested in hearing about this.
Yes, and in general, this is the, I don't know if you know, this is the longest Harry Potter movie.
Yeah, which is interesting because, sorry, I don't want to, but like the thing that I'm also aware of, and this is one of the things that undercuts the criticisms for me, is that, like, obviously the two problems I have, the solution would have been adding more to the film. But sorry, yeah, I know I got you off. I'll let you finish.
I don't think it's adding more is fine if you pace it out. The problem is that this movie, because it's long and it feels at times in the middle of the movie like a slog. Like it feels like there's a particular, I want to say, 20 to 30 minutes of the movie when they're solving the mysteries where it's just so much is thrown at you and you don't have time to wonder about the mystery because so many new concepts, or so many new, I guess, not just concepts, so many new, I guess, pieces of information are being flung at you. And therefore it's like, okay, wow, I would just wish the movie would slow down a bit, but no, it just keeps going. And yeah, there are more issues.
Okay, yeah, I'm interested. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yes, again, it's not just like the concept, it's about how you execute that.
Yeah.
And again, I think I was thinking while watching this movie, this definitely works so much better as a book. Even though I haven't read it, I can imagine this working so much better.
I mean, what's wild is that the book, like the funny thing about this film is like that book must have been really kind of dense, because this was like obviously, as I'm sure you know, the Harry Potter books get like longer as time goes on. And like,
when
I'm pretty
J.K.
sure
suddenly became very powerful and decided she
just decided to like write. But like, it's always funny to me when I think about like the fact that I think this book was only like about 200 pages, which isn't. Whereas like then you think about like how like, for example, Order of the Phoenix is, I think, like 700 pages, and that film feels like nothing happens in it. So it's kind of like, in a way, I felt like somehow J.K. Rowling just stuffed everything that could possibly happen into a 200-page book, and then subsequently wrote a whole load of like 600, 700-page books where nothing happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is really funny.
We'll get into that. I don't know if we'll ever review those movies, because like I'm thinking of like the Half-Blood Prince, The Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, they're a while away.
Yeah,
I mean, Prisoner of Azkaban's only next year. This is how we do it, Luke. We do it 1 year at a time.
No. Prisoner of Azkaban's 2 years, pal.
Oh, did it take them 2 years to do? Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
they
did the old double, then space, then another double.
Oh yeah, so okay, that's so disappointing. That means it's going to be ages until I can get to my negative Azkaban hot takes.
Okay, so yeah, by the way, so yeah, it is a very long movie, and the thing is, I like the concept. My ideas while I was watching this was brimming. Well, they weren't really brimming so much so, but I just had
so this is like a rewrite kind of thing, you're thinking.
Yeah, a couple of nice ideas how to like streamline this and make it like just more fun.
I am actually interested in. I'm a big fan of the old, kind of like reworking when people are like, "Oh, here's what the script doctor attitudes." So I'm actually quite interested to hear what you would change.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I didn't really think of major changes. Just
I'm calling you a script doctor, Luke.
Okay, right. Nitpicks. How many do you have?
I've got 3.
You go first.
Okay, this one's like the most nitpicky, but like Harry has a very uniform-looking neighborhood. And the reason, okay, so that sounds like a weird thing, but like, you know how you have like that overshot of like his entire street, and like it looks like it's like square, like everything's very square and like blocky, and all the houses are like in like square rows. And I'm like, my understanding of the suburbs of the UK is that they're pretty, windy, and like we're not America. And I just thought that wasn't like, for me, I found it jarring. I was like looking at that overshot of the neighborhood. I was like, that doesn't look like how an actual British neighborhood looks. But then I'm like, I mean, that is also a weird question, because then did they CGI the neighborhood? I don't know.
No,
anyway.
The thing is, I said the exact opposite last time. I said that's exactly what a British neighborhood looks like.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, I feel like that must mean that we disagree. But more importantly, this is quite an obvious one, but why can Snape give his house permission let me put the emphasis in the right place, his house permission to override another house's booking. Because he's the head of the house, so it's like obviously I'm talking about the bit where they're like, oh, we've got the pitch booked for Quidditch matches today, and he's like, oh, I've got a message from Professor Snape saying we're allowed to book it, and it's like, that's pretty dumb, because it's like,
I mean that's just hierarchy in it.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
Well, see, I would have thought like in order to override another house's booking, you'd have to get a more objective. Like if Dumbledore gave a note, that's fine.
Yeah, but Dumbledore can't concern himself with that.
Yeah, Dumbledore is pretty cool. Anyway, so the final one is that is any kid who is sent to Dumbledore's office, do they now know the password? Because Professor McGonagall, of course, takes Harry to Dumbledore's office, and then she says, "Sherbet lemon," and it's like, what is the function of this password if you declare the password right in front of students in order for them to access the office?
I don't even know why there's a password.
Yeah,
like, it's just his fucking office. Like,
I know, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
is he a pedo?
Yeah, it's like a fucking Matt Lauer when he pressed the button underneath his desk to trap people in. Maybe that's it.
I guess no one Matt should have all that Lauer.
So my first nitpick, and this could have been more significant because at the end it does actually play a role in the plot. I was just going to say, Ron can't get a spare wand, really. Like,
that's a good
the
point,
thing
though.
is, wands, I imagine wands are like, I don't know, like shoes,
Yeah.
It's like everybody needs a pair of shoes. And okay, if you don't have shoes,
yeah, you get like one from the lost and found bin or something.
Yeah, there'll probably be spare shoes, and apparently there isn't just a spare wand in the whole of Hogwarts. But I guess they could have the excuse, oh, you need to match with your wand. Is that right? Something like that.
Yeah, although I think CinemaSins has pointed out before that's a rule they're very inconsistent with, because like in like later films, everybody's just constantly swapping wands. Someone will drop a wand and pick another wand up and all that. So yeah, they're definitely inconsistent with it.
It's all very gay.
Yes, no, that's a good way of putting it.
Of
like
wands.
Dumbledore.
Yes, yeah. He loves to swap wands, does Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Every Saturday night, that's what he's doing. Anyway.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
He has a sherbetlemonparty.org.
Yeah. Okay. There are too many spiders in the forest, in the Forbidden Forest, which isn't very forbidden, is it? Really?
Like they've been in it both films so far.
Yes.
So what do you mean by there are too many spiders? Are you saying like ecologically they couldn't sustain that population?
Yeah, there's like hundreds of fucking large spiders. What do they eat? What do they
I'm
eat?
with you, yeah.
Are there large flies they can consume?
Yeah, that's a good question actually. Yeah, I agree. They they never really establish how huge the forest is, but it is kind of they didn't need for there to be that many spiders for the scene to work. Like,
what the fuck do they all eat? Anyway, so yeah, no one. I mean, that's the thing. They're all after Harry and Ron and the dog. Like, only like 6 of them are actually eating anything significant. Like,
that's a good point. Yeah,
the other 300 are going to be hungry again.
Still going to be hungry.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's now get into the plot / the concept. So. The story follows Harry's second year at Hogwarts, where the heir of Salazar Slytherin opens the Chamber of Secrets, unleashing a monster that petrifies the school's students. So it's another mystery for Harry to solve.
Yes,
and this time, also, you learn the backstory of Voldemort. You learn about the backstory of Hogwarts in general. You learn about wizard racism, which of course is pretty damn key. In terms of Voldemort's motivations. So that's, it sets, it doesn't, I guess it sets up stuff for the later movies, and it also explains a bunch of stuff as well, and you have a bit of a character introspection with Harry, whether it was best for him to be with Slytherin or Gryffindor. Its aims are very good. You see like the blurb, or like the plan of action for this movie, like what this movie is going to accomplish. And you're like, yes, that all makes sense. That all very much makes sense. Yes, I like that. That is good. I suppose that's why you think it's very good.
Yes.
But again, it's just the execution which we'll get into, which I have a problem with. But yeah, anything else to say on the plot?
No, yeah. I just want to say that I agree, obviously. And yeah, I think the mystery is the key element. Let's jump in, because especially since there's definitely a lot to talk about with the plot.
So firstly, spending the summer with the Dursleys, Harry Potter meets Dobby, a house elf who warns him that it's dangerous to return to Hogwarts. Okay, so Dobby, what a character!
Yes,
what a fan favorite. I like it when he is slamming his head against the cupboard. And
he is funny.
Well, I'm just thinking like Harry can't grab him to stop.
Oh yeah. I was kind of thinking that too. Yeah, he's just like, Dobby, stop it.
Well, yeah, because he's like CGI, so he
Yeah.
like can't stop him. But then he does pick up Dobby later.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what the deal was there. Anyway, so is it a coincidence that he arrives just in time to ruin the Dursleys' dinner? Yes, it is. But that is not a nitpick because that's part of the fun stuff. At the beginning of these movies, which I can accept. You have a little scene of Harry pissing off the Dursleys. So
yes,
I'm fine with that. That's part of the charm, I guess, of the start of these movies.
Yeah, I agree. Also, there's a particular thing I really liked, which is when Vernon says, "We even let you have Dudley's second bedroom," and I like that so much because it's like the fact that when he was in the cupboard under the stairs, they had a second, which to be fair makes sense because they don't seem like a poor family, so it's hard to believe they only have 2 bedrooms. But yeah, so that is funny. Dylan says he was so tiny. Yeah,
Dylan's fucking cupboard. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, it's ironic because he also looks like Dobby. But do you know? See.
Oh, Michael, I was going to bring this up. I had someone from my school who looked like Dobby. And his nickname was literally Dobby because of that.
That's mean, Luke.
Wow. Okay, so suddenly someone's got a conscience.
Yes, yeah, I was like, no, yeah. I mean, that is funny. There's actually somebody I know who is called Dobby. Fortunately, they don't look like Dobby, so... I think they're from like Eastern Europe, yeah. So I think it's like that name's probably like Dubrovnik or something. Anyway, no, I want to say one thing very important, which is, do you know what the Japanese golfer joke is?
No.
Because the thing is, I remember ages ago when I watched this film, I think I must have looked it up, and I stumbled upon somebody saying that this was the only Japanese golfer joke they'd heard of, so it might well be. And it does fit with him saying like, and then they got to the 9th hole. So basically the joke is that there's a businessman who is in Japan and he's trying to learn Japanese words. So he's banging. He decides to hire a Japanese prostitute, and he's banging her. And then in the middle of it, she seems really excitable, and she screams, some kind of foreign Japanese word. And he's like, oh, that must just be an expression of exuberance. Anyway, so then they're playing golf. He's playing golf with these Japanese businessmen, and when they get to the 9th hole, one of them gets a hole in one, and the businessman cheers by saying that expression he's learned, and the Japanese guy turns to him and says, "What do you mean, wrong hole?" So anyway, I like to imagine that was Uncle Vernon's Japanese golfer joke.
Good Japanese impression.
Yes.
Yes. Shall we now talk about J.K. Rowling adding into her stories the idea of literal slaves who apparently like being slaves, apart from the fact that they don't like being slaves, as we can see with Dobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, elf slaves exist in the Harry Potter world, and it's actually bad if you try to rescue them.
Yeah, so I do want to say this real quick, just right out of the gate. I have heard people say that they've made an analogy. So obviously, like the goblins are compared to Jews, but I've heard people say like that the house elves are like black people, which is, I think, very dumb because, like, obviously,
yeah,
sure.
I mean, that's dumb. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to, because, like, so I think really it's more about, like, slavery in general. Like, I don't think there's anything specific to transatlantic slavery.
No, I'm sorry. It'd be so funny if the elves spoke in African American vernacular. Like, that would be so funny.
Harry, you won't be in trouble if you go to school. Like, they're wearing bling.
Yeah, it's like, hey, JK, can we change these elves?
Yeah.
I think we can get away with the goblins. I think they might have gone too far with the elves here. So the thing is, obviously, I mean, like the whole thing about apparently, like that whole thing about like you're not supposed to free the elves from slavery is like the point in like Order of the Phoenix, but I can't really remember that film at all. So yeah, whatever. Hermione tries to.
She starts like an organization, like an elf rights organization.
Yes, and apparently the elves like being slaves, even though Dobby clearly does not, because again, he gets beaten because, of course, being a slave is ridiculous. Like, no one would like that.
Yeah.
And that there was obviously that article in Pottermore that got taken down that went overboard that said, elves like slavery and all of that. And I don't know. Seriously, that article is so funny. It's such a funny article. It's I think it was the right move to take it down. But yeah, this is certainly one of those instances where it's a world where magic exists, but they're still slaves. Of course, there has to be.
Yeah, because, and also considering the fact that like later on they have like the it's doing the dishes that are washing themselves at the
Yes.
Weasley house. It's like they still need.
Why do you need slaves? Why do you need anything?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean the thing is like also there's the fact of like it's kind of there seems to almost be like a good slave owner versus bad slave owner thing going on because like there's the whole weird thing of like the fact the wizarding world is just apparently comfortable with the institution of slavery existing. And then
Yes.
but the thing is Dobby has and this is what I noticed like when I was watching it through this time, Dobby specifically says like, oh, you know, when Voldemort was in charge, it was a really hard time for the house elves because we were being like treated badly by like basically with the implication like by cruel evil wizards as if but like presumably the implication is that the institution of slavery is pretty much a constant in their life. So it's kind of like basically what he's saying is we were being treated cruelly by the bad wizards instead of kindly by the good wizards, the good slave owners.
That is a very third way Blairite way to view the world.
I know,
isn't
yeah,
it?
well that's the thing, yeah, because like a lot of people talk about J.K. Rowling's neoliberal politics.
Yes.
And it
You
does
know,
seem like the slavery thing is an example
Look,
of that.
there are good slave owners and there are bad slave owners.
Yes, I think maybe we should regulate the slave industry, but let's not do a revolution. Let's not be revolutionary.
Yeah, we need to calm down. Yeah, I can imagine like if slavery still existed, Keir Starmer going on Good Morning Britain and said, "No, I'm not against the abolition of slavery. No, we need good slave owners, well-regulated slave owners, and that can solve the problem."
Yeah, like that's really funny.
Yeah. Anyway, so the point is that whatever the elves, they're stupid and people have ragged on them.
I did want to say one quick positive thing that's kind of tangentially related, but I do like the fact this film introduces like the peril quite early on. Like obviously Dobby's like, Harry Potter will die if he goes to Hogwarts or whatever he says. I'm like, okay, it's a very minor thing, but just like, yeah, you need a bit of peril in these films.
Very good trailer line that.
Yeah.
Very good trailer stuff. Yeah, but no, you're right because it creates a sense of mystery. Like, why can Harry not return to Hogwarts? Every Harry Potter movie has a mystery, and that's a really intriguing mystery to get you started. You are hooked, really. And so the Dursleys lock up Harry to prevent his return to Hogwarts.
Harry's freaky friends.
Yes, Harry's friend Ron Weasley and his brother's friend and George rescue him. Okay. With the Dursley, I mean, we talked about this last time, but why the hell did they put up with Harry and are so keen to keep him? It's so dumb. They should be happy that he is heading off to Hogwarts so he can't fuck things up for them. And again, like, I think I'm going to repeat myself on every Harry Potter review. Why is Dumbledore not getting Harry out of there? This is how.
Well, to clarify, what we need is good abusive parents. We need to make sure we get rid of the bad abusive parents.
Yes, yeah, good abusive parents, yeah. But the point is, this is how you create villains. People's childhoods being traumatic, like Harry's, is how you create these villains. Like, does Dumbledore want another Voldemort? Like, because again, this is how you're going to get one. Like, let him live somewhere else, away from these abusive foster, whatever they are, guardians. So yeah, that just still grinds my gears, Michael.
Yeah. You could actually say there is that kind of neoliberal thing of like, well, let's not separate, let's not do anything too radical. Like it's just like it's the way it is. You know how it is. It's like, oh, he lives with that family, but it's just the way it is, and our thoughts are with him in this difficult time.
Okay, good.
Just like those striking nurses.
Yes, and another neoliberal thing is the Weasleys being poor because again. It's so dumb. A world where magic exists, poverty should not be a thing. Like, can't you just magic yourself like better clothes and a better house? Like, it's incredible. Rowling again talking of her neoliberal world. Like, it's incredible the contradiction. She's created this fantastical world full of incredible things. All this magic.
She can't conceive of no poverty.
She can't conceive of a society that functions any different from the one in which she lives in.
Yeah, this is why this is why she was so like confused by Jeremy Corbyn, because she was like, I'm sorry, like even if we had magical abilities to create like matter out of thin air and just create energy, we still would have poverty. So how the hell do you expect to fix it just with sensible economic and societal reforms?
Yeah, I mean, like you can fucking create snakes and slugs out of thin air. Can you not, create like clothes out of thin air? Like, isn't there there must be like a duplication like magic, trick? And again, there should be no poverty when you have limitless resources, and that everyone can access these limitless resources as well, because everyone can do magic.
Yeah, I do. Just one thing. Well, two things. Yes, I think in general, like it's fair to say that the Harry Potter magic system is not robust in terms of having been thought through of like the. It's not one of those films or things where you like watch it for like the well incorporated logic of the magic. But the other thing I did want to say,
I would be fine with that in general, but this movie does get, it's particularly in the later movies, into magic politics.
Yes, which I think does make it.
So you're forced to confront the idea. It's a bit like with Wakanda. We talked about it last time.
Yeah,
it's like it's a nice concept. You want to ignore it, but then there are, it is a kind of a geopolitical story as well. So you're forced to look at the flaws in the whole concept of Wakanda, and therefore you're forced to look at the whole flaws in the concept of this wizarding world. Yes.
It reminds me of in YMS's review of Looper. He keeps playing like Ryan Johnson being like, "Oh, the time travel's just there to facilitate the story, and then it gets out of the way." And like he says that, but like every single time that YMS like points out a way in which the time travel is like excessive and makes no sense, he just repeats that quote. And like I can imagine like somebody saying like, "Oh, the magic in Harry Potter just exists to facilitate the story and then get out of the way," and then you'd like show like all like the magic politics and things like that, and you just like The one thing I did want to say is that I think maybe one of the reasons why and this is, I don't know, the politics of this are kind of interesting, but like basically I think there is an idea of that the Burrow is kind of cozy because it's like kind of run down. Because obviously Harry has that line where like Ron's like, "Oh, it's not much, but it's home," and Harry's like, "It's brilliant." And I was kind of thinking that because like it does look like a nice cozy house.
Yeah, but you know what? If I was that fucking guy, what's he called? Ron's dad.
Arthur.
Yeah, one day I'd wake up, I'd be like, you know what? I really fancy a new car.
Yeah.
Carus.
Yeah.
Varus, and there you go. Oh, he's got a nice brand new Mercedes. There you go. That's, I don't know. It feels like magic should kind of work like that.
No, yeah. Like especially like the things, because again, it's kind of like when you have just
it's magic.
The spells you are shown that are possible mean that you can't help but ask, well, what isn't possible?
Yes, exactly. Literally nothing seems impossible, and if that's the case, well then, this should be the reality for any family. There should not be poverty.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. He must get paid a salary, so you should be able to like duplicate money.
Just for record, I loved both the parents. I don't think this is a controversial take. Like the Arthur's like funny fascination with like what is the purpose of a rubber duck, and also the did you, how did it go, which is funny. But obviously Molly, which is the mum, is great. I think
they're both good parents, good characters, good characters.
Yes, and obviously Julie Walters, is that her name? Why am I being so weird? That is her name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like her mum's screaming routine is endlessly funny to me. I'm just like, "Where have you been?"
Okay,
so I like that.
Right. Anyway, so we will get into now the next section, which is of course when
Diagon Alley.
They all meet in Diagon Alley. And where is Diagon Alley?
It's diagonally.
Yeah, but where is it?
Oh yes, sorry, yes, it is at our alma mater, York.
Why is it alma mater? What is that? I mean, I know what it is, but why are you saying it?
I just like to make us sound fancy.
I mean, it's not. It's American more than anything.
Like, is it really? Okay.
I don't think I've ever heard a British person say that.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's because my mum was born in Canada. Anyway, but no, yeah. So it's at York where we went to university. In the shambles.
Harry. Okay, so Harry meets Hagrid, even though he's in a really dodgy place, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Nocturne Alley.
What a massive coincidence. Then they meet Hermione, who is already with Ron and the Weasleys, and they are getting their book signed by Gilderoy Lockhart, Hogwarts' new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, who plays a significant role in the story.
Yes.
And also, which I laughed at when I saw the camera pan up, Malfoy is there as well. Of course he's there. Like, everyone's just there. And his dad is also there chilling too. And of course his dad is a very important character in this story as well. So yeah, what are the chances there? It's unbelievable, really. Yeah. That's the real magic. Really.
I mean, well, let me think. So I will say, like, so obviously it's possible that they'd already arranged to meet up with Hermione. Like, they didn't show it, but it's a possibility.
Possible. But it's Malfoy, which is the real kicker.
Yeah, Malfoy's the funny thing. Like, he is just there. Like, he just happened to be up there.
Why is he even up there? Why? What's up there? I don't know.
Yeah. It's just his evil place. Yes. Yeah, I have no idea. But yes, I would agree. It's definitely convenient that all these people converge on each other.
It's just funny. It's like, oh, here we go. Here's all the characters being introduced. Yes, and they're going to a book signing to a person who, it could have been just a random famous person, but no, he's specifically going to play a role in the story because he's teaching. Yeah. Defense Against the Dark Arts. So yeah, great. Everyone who you need is in that little room at the exact same time. So Lucius then, of course, slips a book into Ginny Weasley's cauldron. And which we'll come back to that. And he is introduced well. I think his introduction is good. in terms of, this is the first time we see him because he's not in the first one, right?
No, he's not.
So it's like, okay, this guy's evil. This guy is evil, and he's of course definitely Malfoy's father. They're very Targaryen with their hair.
Yes, they are. Yeah, that's a good point.
And to be fair, this came first, so obviously George R.R. Martin copied that from Rowling.
Dickhead.
Yeah. So that's good. And we're off to Hogwarts. But of course, Harry and Ron are blocked from entering platform 9 3/4. Again, we went through in the first one how stupid the whole concept is of platform 9 3/4.
Yeah, I also wrote down, and I didn't write this as a nitpick because I thought it was slightly more than a nitpick. I still, it's still pretty minor, but it's incredibly contrived that Harry and Ron go through last. Like, it's always like, and even though like
contrived is a good word. Yes.
I've been aware of this for like every single time I've watched the film. Even as I was watching it again for this time, like there was a split second of me thinking, why are Molly and Arthur going through ahead of Harry and Ron? And then like I'm like, oh yeah, it's just because that's the only way that this specific aspect of the plot can play out, with them like realizing they can't get through. And then because like obviously like the normal thing would have been for Harry and Ron to have gone before Molly and Arthur, and then of course it would have been blocked, and then whatever would have happened, Molly and Arthur would have been there. You get me. So it's quite contrived, and it does set up a significant thing happening in the plot. So
when magic exists, I don't know if you can stop someone going to some place. Like that seems to me a very hard thing to do.
Yeah, like there are so many ways of I mean, the fact that like there are so many ways of traveling is also like a funny joke in Harry Potter, because it's like whenever anybody like travels a stupid way. Like I remember when in the Crimes of Grindelwald, when they're like traveling via horse and carriage, like and everyone's just like, why not flue powder? Why not slide along? Like there's so many different ways of traveling. So yeah, I would think it's fair to say that you can't actually stop somebody traveling somewhere in Harry Potter.
Yes, indeed, it's very difficult. Yes, you'd have to kidnap them basically.
Yes,
Harry and Ron are let off after obviously crashing into the Whomping Willow. First, they have that fun car scene, which I think is like that's the book cover, right, of Chamber of Secrets, them in the car.
Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah, flying, and obviously, they're almost being caught by the train, fun little scene, and then they crash into the Whomping Willow, and in these like 5 minutes, like Rupert Grint is pulling off so many facial expressions. It's ridiculous. Like it's like he's getting paid for every time he looks scared or disgusted. Like he just pulls this face, and it's like, okay, like that is you can do that a few times, but not like every scene, like every time the camera pans to you. Again, I think that's poor directing from Chris Columbus.
Yeah, that's quite funny. Yeah, I mean, he is definitely like a ridiculous character.
It's the comic relief, but again, it's like there isn't. You can't do that it's like the same trick, like every time.
Yeah. I also thought it was like the fact that like they have the thing of like Harry nearly falling out the car. I was thinking like, okay, there's plenty of peril in this film. It feels like, I was like, you don't need to go this far. You don't need to have like, it was already fine. You didn't need to have a character nearly fall to that. Because whenever something like that happens, it's hard not to think to yourself, well, it is lucky that he did manage to hold on to that 12-year-old boy manages to hold on to a car like miles in the air. And then you can't just help think to yourself the kind of funny thought of like, what if he did just die there?
Yeah, they want to...
like that's how the film ends.
Hey, they want to make it exciting, I guess. So there you go. So then we get 15 minutes of setting up stuff, like the Mudbloods and Malfoy, and Malfoy's on the Quidditch team, and you get what are they called? The plants?
Nimbus 2001s or what?
No, the plants.
Oh, mandrakes, yes.
Yeah, the mandrakes, which of course, what do the mandrakes do again?
Yeah, they help cure petrification.
Yes, there you go. So you set that up as well.
Yeah. I also thought actually it was kind of a good logic, because I was like thinking to myself, like, it's kind of weird that like it takes so long to heal these people. And it's like, okay, actually to be fair, I think most plants do take a while to mature. Although at the same time, you do kind of think like,
why don't they have some?
Yeah, like that's it. Like if or like shouldn't they have like a kind of wizard, like World Health Organization who's got like some mandrakes on storage, so they can be like, rather than waiting like a year for yours to mature, we can get you some.
Obviously, we see Lockhart being a fraud as well, just setting up all this stuff, which is necessary, of course. But that's the thing, there's a lot of things to set up, because there's a lot of elements in this movie regarding the plot. There's a lot of things at play, which again kind of really builds on top of itself in a way which is kind of rickety, shall we say, in the second half of the movie with the mystery plot. But yeah, let's get into so then we start really with the actual plot of the movie. When in detention, Harry hears a strange voice and later finds caretaker Argus Filch's cat, Mrs. Norris, petrified beside a message written in blood. The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the air, beware. So Professor McGonagall explains, this is in the next scene, that one of Hogwarts... Oh yeah, it's dumb how all the school conversion Harry as well.
Oh yes,
suddenly.
yes. I remember CinemaSins. Like sometimes every now and then I just remember like, because I don't watch CinemaSins very often, but I just remember, I don't know, like whenever he makes a good point, I'm like, yes, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, all the school just convert. That's the thing. These movies are very nitpickable.
Yes,
That
very.
you can pick so many holes in these movies, so many holes.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
the question is, are they nitpicks or are they more than that? Did they actually affect the plot and actually poor script writing? And some of them are, and some of them aren't, which we'll get
Yeah, I'd
into.
say like a lot of them, like it kind of in a way, like what's hilarious is because some of them are so unnecessary, it almost
Yes.
means they don't matter. Like so, it's
Mhm.
kind of like which is kind of a weird way of thinking about it, but it's sort of how it is. Like they didn't
Mm.
need the entire school really to converge. Like it could have just been that one person happens to be walking along and then they call loads of people. Like they didn't have to have like the entire
Yeah.
crowd just coming from both directions at that exact moment.
Yes, yes. So anyway, in the next scene, Professor McGonagall explains that one of Hogwarts' founders, Salazar Slytherin,
Hmm.
supposedly constructed a secret chamber containing a monster that only his heir can control, capable of purging the school of Muggle-born students. So, the point of this part of the septology, if that is a word, um,
Oh
is
yeah,
to show I think, the evilness of the Slytherin, perhaps, in
yeah,
particular, along with the backstory to Voldemort, and Voldemort trying to get Harry again, obviously, and plus whether Harry is actually a Slytherin, at heart as well. So that's the point, right? And of course, the whole thing with Slytherin hating mudbloods, and I assume mudbloods are not allowed in Slytherin. I think that should be the
yeah.
case,
That would
right?
be the implication. Yeah,
Yeah, and again, I don't know how this house fucking exists.
I know.
Like,
Yeah, like the fact is, like it's literally a house dedicated to racism.
yes, it's a
Like, oh my
house.
god, yeah. They
Its
would not have had a
founding,
good 2020
its
with George
founding,
Floyd.
yeah, its founding father, Salazar Slytherin, literally wants to kill the other students who are mudbloods. He literally wants a monster to come and kill them. And every other fucking founding member is like, oh yeah, that's fine, whatever. We will still have a house called Slytherin. Great.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
makes me think about like how like there's the controversy around like them having like Rhodes College in Oxford that's like named after Cecil Rhodes.
Yes.
It's like okay, I can understand people objecting to that, but to be fair, it's not as if Cecil Rhodes' like entire thing was like it was not as if Cecil Rhodes was like I hate all black people and think none of them should ever be allowed to study at this school, and
I
then
mean, he probably thought the second bit.
yeah, he probably did. To be fair, but to be fair, I guess I assume I don't really remember when he was around, but probably lots of people thought that. But like, he didn't leave a monster in Oxford with the plan of later on, and more importantly, there wasn't then an entire house,
That's that's
an
it.
entire
Yes.
college founded like Rhodes College. You can say you don't like their name, but I don't think they're furiously committed to upholding the ideology of Cecil Rhodes.
Yes, exactly. That's it. Embodying the values of Cecil
Yes,
Rhodes.
which is
Yes.
definitely what Slytherin do, which is crazy.
Yes, Slytherin are meant to embody the values of Salazar Slytherin. Like, or the I don't know if they're meant to, but the students obviously definitely do. And
Yes,
yeah, like, of course, what happens in the fucking last battle with Voldemort? Like,
yes.
they don't fight him. Like, how is this school? Like, how is this house allowed to exist? Like the
Yeah.
evil house which wants to murder other students. Like, please, someone should have done something about this. Like, it's a 3-against-1 battle. Come on, like you can outvote them. I think Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Gryffindor are just cowards, really. Look, this is the point where we pick holes in these movies, and
Hmm.
this is such a big hole. Like wizard racism exists. Okay, that's fine, and Voldemort can perhaps. But Voldemort can perhaps embody the values of Salazar Slytherin, but he wants to, part of his character could have been, I want to take Slytherin back to its roots, and
Hmm.
Slytherin has moved on, and Malfoy is
Yeah, that would
part.
have been good.
Yeah, Malfoy is part of the past, the past Slytherin, which was like evil and hateful in a way
Yeah,
which
I like that.
it isn't today.
Yeah, it'd be like if you had like some KKK people who wanted to make the Democrats be racist again.
I have to say, I do like, again, this is what I said in the introduction, I do like learning about the history of fantasy worlds, the lore. And so this, from a plot perspective, is more interesting than the Philosopher's Stone. It's more interesting to dive into this than what's the deal with the stone. This is much more interesting with there's a chamber of secrets and Salazar Slytherin locked a monster away to kill all the non-pure blood kids. Okay, well that's again it's somehow the house still exists and still embodies his values, but whatever. The point is that is inherently interesting, and it creates a mystery and goes into the lore of Harry Potter, which is again a very good thing for the second movie once you've established everything. Go into the backstory now, and I think that is this movie is very lore heavy. I think that's perhaps why. If you're a Harry Potter fan, maybe you do like this a lot because they really do dive into the lore significantly of how Hogwarts was created. It's just again how the information comes out pertaining to the mystery. I have a problem with.
Yeah, and also again, I think like the mystery is less stupid than Philosopher's Stone, because in Philosopher's Stone you got like this whole thing about like a lot of like the way the mystery is set up. Like they have this stone, and then they have like this weird thing where like they all have. Like these, like they get the 3-headed dog, and it's kind of like all that stuff just seems a little bit like silly because like basically they were the ones who chose to put the stone there. Whereas in this case, it's kind of like okay, like nobody alive had anything to do with this Chamber of Secrets being there. So I think that makes it make more sense. Like this is just something that they've like inherited, so it feels less stupid. It's
inherently interesting, like the dark secret of Hogwarts. The Chamber of Secrets. It's good. Yeah. So this plot. Line the plot in general of the movie accomplishes again a couple of things. It allows a mystery to be created, which we like, and it dives into the lore of Harry Potter, which is good for a second movie, so that's good. Anyway, so suspecting that Malfoy is the heir of Slytherin, Harry, Ron and Hermione plan to question him while disguised using a forbidden polyjuice potion, but conveniently of course it takes a month to make, so we can have plenty of Quidditch there.
Yeah, and you've got to dole things out because it's the problem. All of their like issues have to take place over a year.
Yes, but I'm fine with that because obviously the thing is, actually, I'm fine with them having a Quidditch game. Again, this is another problem here with this Quidditch game, right? It's just like last time with someone trying to sabotage Harry, which happened in the Philosopher's Stone. His broom was fucked up. This time, a bludger is after him, and then Harry, even though the team are losing, magically catches a snitch at the end to win the game. It's just literally a repeat of what happened last time.
That is a good point.
Yeah, is it J.K. Rowling was out of ideas when writing these Quidditch scenes? I guess.
I feel like the issue is like I feel like I don't know. It's hard. I guess it's hard to make Quidditch plot relevant because I also feel like in the third film there's a Quidditch scene which is pretty dumb as well. So I don't think they can make Quidditch interesting.
So it was Dobby controlling the bludger.
Yeah, I guess so, or put some kind of hex on it.
Yeah, because that could have really seriously hurt Harry.
Yeah, like a lot of his. I was gonna say a lot of his plans could have killed Harry. I guess not really only that one.
Yeah, that like imagine if he did die. Then, well, I guess Harry. Hey, Harry, you're not in danger anymore, Harry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh God, what have I done? Yeah.
It's like we did it, Patrick. We saved the city.
Yeah. So that was dumb. Anyway, yeah, he. So Dobby then, of course, visits him in the infirmary and reveals that he closed the barrier to platform 9 3/4 and made the bludger chase Harry to force him to leave the school. And of course, he ended up in hospital because of it. Good job, Dobby. You're really saving the day here. Yes. He also reveals
he loses his bones.
Yes, he does. He also reveals that the chamber has been opened in the past. Okay, so this is interesting because. Well, it's not interesting. This is, again, a problem with your whole this is the best fantasy action movie of all time thing, Michael, right? Harry, again, and this is an issue with all these Harry Potter movies, but especially this one. It's like Harry, he doesn't tell the teachers anything. Like, he clearly trusts Dumbledore.
Yeah.
So tell Dumbledore about this weird elf and all the shit that has been going on with him. Plus, the elf knows that the Chamber of Secrets is going to open again. It seems like this elf, knows an awful lot. Please, can you tell someone, Harry? But no, in these movies, the kids never tell the adults anything. Even the ones that they
like their secrets.
Yes, even the ones that they trust and know would do the right thing. Like Dumbledore, there's no chance Dumbledore is gonna, I don't know, fuck things up. And Dumbledore later gives Harry a great chance. He
says, Harry, "Is there anything you'd like to tell me?"
Harry, tell him about Dobby. Please tell him about Dobby.
Yeah, I thought about the fact that obviously, like, he doesn't tell them about the voices, which I guess is explained by that, Hermione saying, even in the wizarding world, hearing voices isn't a good thing.
Which I don't think is true either, I just want to say, because we've seen how much crazy shit goes on in this wizarding world.
Yeah, that is true.
He could have had a hex put on him, I don't know. If I was a wizard, if I could hear voices, I'd definitely think, okay, there may be magic at play here. I want to see if that's the case before people think I'm insane. But yeah, that's the thing. He just doesn't take these opportunities, man. He just doesn't. And the thing is, Dumbledore, of course, asks the same question of Tom Riddle, doesn't he, in the flashback? Tom, do you have anything you want to tell me? The thing is, though, Tom is actually hiding something from Dumbledore because Tom is the bad guy,
Yes.
Tom Riddle. So it would make sense for him not to tell, Dumbledore. He wants to frame Hagrid. Okay, Harry, he doesn't have any ill intentions. So it makes no sense to copy what Tom Riddle did. I don't know if they were trying to do that. Oh, look, Dumbledore's asking Harry and Tom Riddle the same question. Oh, does that mean they're more similar than Harry would or
like
Harry,
to admit?
Yes, but Harry does kind of go there. Harry does think that. So
Oh yeah,
yeah. But of course, it makes no sense for Harry not to tell Dumbledore. It's very frustrating, Michael. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. It is an interesting question because obviously, I was thinking about, when they said, oh, even hearing voices isn't a good thing. And I was like, okay, that's what they're saying and whatever, I'll accept it. But yeah, I guess the question of why doesn't he tell them about Dobby specifically, isn't really, I don't know if there's, I don't know.
No,
if
you don't, do you?
Yeah.
You don't, no. Again, the crucial line from Dobby is, he says, the Chamber of Secrets will open again. So he's not just like this weird elf, which is irrelevant. That's like, oh, okay, this guy knows something.
Yeah, obviously, there is the fact that Dobby, I guess, just disappears all the time. So, it's probable that he is thinking, even if he did tell people, they're not going to be, they probably wouldn't get Dobby. Although, of course, one could point out the fact that Dobby, if his goal is to, keep people safe, then, maybe it would be in Dobby's interest to cooperate with Dumbledore. But
yes,
maybe his enslaved mind is not smart.
Perhaps it would. Yes, that's the thing. The character of Dobby, I just don't think really needs to be in this movie. To be honest, he doesn't need to be in there. He's good for trailer lines, isn't he? Harry Potter.
He's good for setting up. Yeah, the danger.
Yeah, Harry Potter should not come back to Hogwarts. Yeah, setting up the danger, setting up the mystery. But yeah, apart from that, it's not really necessary. Anyway, so the camera kid gets petrified. So I guess Dumbledore's this isn't a prank, and so the Chamber of Secrets is actually open, which, if Harry had told him that, before, that would have been good. The kids also believe Lucius opened it for the first time as well, which makes sense. So Malfoy could still be the heir. So,
yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's good. So first, though, before we talk about Malfoy being the red herring, which I know you want to talk about, we have the duel scene with Lockhart and Snape teaching the kids how to duel. Even though they never really do much teaching, do they?
No, yeah. To be fair, they don't actually. Yeah, they just do one demonstration, which isn't that impressive, and they're just all right, you guys do it.
Look, the scene is clearly an excuse for Malfoy versus Harry, and Harry to speak in parcel tongue at the snake that Malfoy produces. But just a bit more effort, please, Chris Columbus. Before we get the plot progression. That's all I'm asking here. Again, Harry just doesn't explain himself well. It's such an annoying trope. He never seems to defend himself. When he's speaking in parcel tongue to the snake, the guy who's the snake's eyeing up says, "What are you playing at?"
Yeah, Harry he could have said, "I was telling him to stop attacking you."
Yeah, it's what do you mean? I was telling him to stop attacking you. What the fuck are you talking about, mate? That's what I'd say. And he'd say, "No, well, I couldn't tell you what you were saying because you were speaking in parcel tongue."
Yeah, to be fair, there is the possibility that Harry was, because if you think about it, if you thought in your head you were just saying, don't attack him, and then suddenly the person touching you, what the hell are you playing at? Then maybe part of you'd be confused. You'd be so confused by why is he saying? Because to you it's so obvious that you haven't done anything wrong that maybe you don't feel the need to defend yourself, and then only later on when you find out, oh no, here's what he thought you said. So yeah, maybe.
And that is the reason. But again, it's if someone said that to me, what are you playing at? I'd be like, what do you mean? What am I? I was trying to help you, pal. That. I wouldn't just leave that question unsaid.
Can I say a big positive, which is that I really, really like the fact that Harry speaking Parseltongue is revealed to be this significant ability, and the reason why is because in the first film he does it, and it's nothing. You're just you just think that's an example of him being a wizard. And then, of course, you find out it's actually this incredibly plot significant thing in the second film. And the thing is, I really appreciate it, in part because nowadays we've all been subject to J.J. Abrams and his mystery box crap, where you show up front that something is a mystery, and it's oh, what's the mystery, blah, blah, blah. And I think this is kind of the opposite to that, where they totally, what's the phrase, bury the lead on it being a mystery. you would like have no idea, like when you watch that, like, oh, the fact that he can talk to a snake is this big plot significant thing.
It's a very nice reveal, isn't it?
Yes, and I think so. And obviously, I mean, then the fact that he can speak Parseltongue plays into like the nature of the monster as well. So yeah, I think it's a good kind of way of it's like it all makes sense, and it's like impressive that you have this reveal that happens across 2 films.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a very nice reveal, nice setup, and a nice payoff with so you can talk, to snakes. That's fucking crazy. Anyway, so now we get onto the Malfoy red herring thing,
Yes.
Michael. So disguised as 2 of Malfoy's friends, Harry and Ron learn, he is not the heir, but come to know that his father had told him a Muggle-born girl died when the chamber was last opened. So who is the heir, Michael? Well, it's not Malfoy, and obviously you liked this, didn't you?
So basically, I want to say, first of all, I think this film did some good red herring jobs. So obviously, like, you could almost kind of say like Harry's a red herring. I mean, obviously, like, well, he knows he didn't do it, but then the flip side is, seeing as he was egging the snake on earlier, seeing as he didn't realize he was talking to the snake earlier, he could be like, oh, who knows what he was doing, but okay, whatever. But then, I think like having Malfoy as a red herring works, and I think it's like a good opportunity for investigating, like without it feeling, like, it's good to have the characters have like a few kind of wrong paths they can go down to make it feel more realistic, and also for pacing reasons. And I'll also say, of course, I think it's a pretty funny scene. I mean, it's not like the most hilarious scene in the world, but just like the idea of like, oh, it's they're pretending to be Crabbe and Goyle. Malfoy didn't know he could read. It's not like super hilarious, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think it is. Yes. I think it is. It's a nice thing that the kids. The thing is, it's not going to be true because they think about it, this early on in the movie, and of course, these are mystery
whatever they
movies.
Suggest first. Yeah,
but it makes sense to learn more about the situation. They investigate Malfoy because they're like, oh yeah, he could be the heir of Slytherin.
And I mean, you get that information about how a girl died last time. So,
exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It progresses the plot as well. So. Obviously, it's not Malfoy, but who is the heir? What is going on? This mystery is intriguing, but how the trio of kids progress next with the mystery? Oh yeah, and Hermione becomes a cat.
Yes, which is very random.
Yes. Anyway, so how the kids progress next with the mystery is not so good. I think, because the movie literally throws the book at Harry, which is an enchanted diary owned by former student Tom Riddle. How about that for look A? Now, that's the thing. Ginny left this book in that bathroom, and it doesn't appear that there was any plan from Harry. Sorry, not Harry.
From Tom Riddle?
From Tom Riddle or Lucius to get the book to Harry via Ginny throwing it away.
Yeah.
So this seems to be just a massive stroke of luck for the bad team. The evil Slytherins. They really got a massive win with that one, with Harry picking up the book, because. Thank God that I think they're only in that room, that bathroom, in the first place because Hermione wanted to go there because nobody else goes in there.
Yes, although I mean, so I think like it's not. There's a slight thing that makes it slightly less of a coincidence, which is the fact that obviously the reason why. So like you can kind of draw like the connection, because basically the reason why Hermione wants to go in there is because no one goes there. The reason why no one goes there is because Moaning Myrtle is so, scary or whatever. The reason Moaning Myrtle's there is because she was killed there. The reason she was killed there is because that's where the basilisk comes out of. The reason... Oh, and then you'd say, and the fact that's where the basilisk comes out of is probably why Ginny Weasley was there. So there is like that, so, because obviously she was the one. So there is that, but obviously it's still lucky.
Yes, no, it is lucky as well.
I mean, but you do have the classic, like, Harry and Voldemort, maybe the classic, the Force did it defense. Maybe Harry and Voldemort are just drawn together.
The point is, I'm sure there are other rooms where they could have drunk the Polyjuice potion, and I'm sure, I don't know why Ginny Weasley, like, throws, did she walk all the way to the girls' bathroom on that floor, which is clearly, I imagine far from Gryffindor, to, like, throw the book into the chamber? Did she do that? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If she was distressed, she should just like throw it out the window, like and that's the thing. I don't know. Again, you could perhaps create a reason why she was there, or you could say perhaps, I guess this could work. This could work that Tom Riddle knew that Harry was in the bathroom, so he got Ginny to while Ginny was in a trance, to throw the book away in that bathroom.
Yeah.
That works more than I think how it's portrayed in the movie.
Yeah. I think it would make sense that Tom Riddle had some kind of. I mean, obviously he was influencing her in some kind of way.
Yeah. So get Ginny to throw the book away where you know Harry is and where no one else goes. So yeah, that was that could work. That could work. Okay, so we found. But again, the movie doesn't say that, but we have found a plausible explanation.
So it is possible.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so Tom Riddle, of course, Harry gets the book and he finds that Tom Riddle, this guy, who is Tom Riddle? He opened the chamber and blamed Hagrid, leading to Hagrid's expulsion. I like how, by the way, like Ron isn't with Harry in this scene, for some reason.
Oh yeah,
he's just not there. He's got no reason not to be there. He's just not there. Like Hermione is ill, I think, because of the polyjuice potion. So yeah, that's but Ron's just not by his side for some reason, so Harry can do this all by himself. Yes. So Hagrid is involved in this mystery. Did Hagrid let the monster out before?
Okay.
And open the Chamber of Secrets 50 years ago? That is an interesting twist, I will say.
Yeah, so you're kind of
and then it gets bad after this, but yeah, that is.
Yeah, good. Okay, yeah. I wanted to say a thing about the diary itself, which is, so first of all, I'm always shocked at how, well, I say always, no. The first time I returned back to this as an adult, which, I don't know when that was, but whenever it was, I was shocked at the fact there's only one scene with the diary. Because when I was a kid, I was like, oh yeah, it's the one where Harry has the diary where he's talking to Tom Riddle. And I imagined it as like that being a somewhat enduring thing. And I think the reason I imagine that is because, like, it's such a clever idea to have like Harry accidentally conversing with a young version of Voldemort. And, I think it's something where it would have benefited having it drawn out as well, because then, for example, maybe they could have, like, Harry, and I think this is how it is in the book as well, like, I think it's way, they have way more conversations, because then, like, for example, Harry could come to really like Tom Riddle, whereas as it is, he just, he just has a pretty utilitarian conversation with Tom Riddle where he finds out some information right away. So yeah, I think it would have been good if they could have had more of that information.
Yeah, and that would play, if Harry and Tom Riddle had a better relationship, that would play into, Harry, he's actually more similar to Tom Riddle.
Yes, yeah. He was like liking Tom Riddle without even realizing he was liking Voldemort. The only other quick thing I wanted to say, because I found this interesting, is the fact that like Tom Riddle, like the reason he stops releasing the snake, the basilisk, is because then the school would close, and he doesn't want the school to close because he doesn't want to go home. I don't actually know what Tom Riddle's home life is like, but it's like, obviously that's an interesting in terms of connecting him and Harry, but also I thought it was pretty cool in terms of like showing a vulnerability like that you wouldn't expect to see that from, I don't know, Sauron or Palpatine, like other kind of fantasy action adventure villains, where it's like one of their, like, he's doing something pretty evil. I mean, he's literally murdering people, and yet he's also like, oh, but I don't want to leave Hogwarts. I love Hogwarts, and I don't want to go back. Like, it's kind of like, it's a very
yeah, but he is at the same time saying that to manipulate Dumbledore.
Well, yeah, but I think the thing is, like, I mean,
it can be true though too.
Yeah. I think the implication was that, like, he's like trying to. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. But yeah, that's all I had to say about that. So yeah, okay. Do you want to talk about how it gets bad?
Yeah, I will, but you're right. Yeah, it is interesting as a concept to visit Voldemort when he was a kid, and of course Harry doesn't know he's Voldemort. So yeah, that is an interesting concept that can play into Harry thinking he's more similar to Voldemort than he actually was. Than he actually maybe perhaps thought. And of course, like you said, that's explored in the book. Could have been explored more in the movie, but again, the movie is very long. So then so many things happen after this, Michael, and this is the issue, because there's a lot of twists and turns at this part of the movie. So, firstly, Harry has Tom Riddle's diary stolen from him. Then Hermione is petrified, and then Hagrid is arrested and sent to Azkaban by Cornelius Fudge, and then Lucius Malfoy deposes Dumbledore as headmaster, meaning Hogwarts is in even more danger. Hagrid then tells the kids to follow the spiders, and they do, and they find this giant talking spider, Aragog, or whatever, who tells them Hagrid did not open the Chamber of Secrets, and he is not the monster inside of the chamber. He doesn't tell Harry what the monster is like, because he's a fucking tease, just a girl dies in the bathroom. Then he lets his spider family attack Harry and Ron,
Yeah.
only for them to be saved by an enchanted car in the most ex-machina thing of all time. And then Harry finds a book page in Hermione's hand which identifies the monster as a basilisk, the serpent who kills people who make direct eye contact with it. And Harry figures out that that's how he can hear the snake. Then he deduces that the petrified victims only saw it indirectly with a mirror and a camera and so on, which is, a really smart thing for a 12-year-old to figure out, to be honest. He should be a detective, should Harry.
Yeah.
Wait, he is. That's how he is. That's what he ends up doing, right?
Yeah, he becomes a cop,
Yes.
which everyone loves about him.
Yes. They also deduce that Moaning Myrtle is the girl who 50 years ago died too as the snake moved around in the pipes and killed her. And I've thrown a lot of information at you there, Michael. The issue is this all happens in a 20-minute period from when Harry gets Tom Riddle's diary stolen from him. And this is, again, the problem. All that shit happens. So much shit is happening, constantly. And again, I think this is because they had to set up a bunch of stuff, and it's we kind of have to, throw all this together now. And it just becomes a slog to get through all of these different moving parts. It's because if it was spaced out, it'd be more fun. But it's oh god, I have to keep up with all of this shit. In the end, the mystery isn't satisfying because you're meant to be wondering what is going on in a mystery, but you've got no time to spend wondering because the movie keeps throwing stuff at you. It really has a lot of stuff to cram in. I guess that again works in the book because you can put the book down when you end a chapter or whatever and return to it. But in a movie, it's too much. I just wanted to say to the movie, right, calm down, stop throwing all this information at me. Can we just stop progressing with this mystery? And yeah, again, if this was a lot more streamlined somehow, I think that would be better. But there's again all this information. It does mean it has a lot to take in, and it's not very satisfying finding a lot of it out either. As you pointed out with, Hermione had this book page. Now we found out that it's the basilisk.
Yeah.
It's not good, this section, and I think this is why this Chamber of Secrets is not viewed as a good Harry Potter movie. It's this section in particular, which should be the fun, exciting section when they're finding out this mystery. Instead, it is just a bit of a slog with just things happening over and over again, and it's you're struggling to keep up with it. That's my thoughts, Michael.
Yeah. Okay, I'll say basically the thing is I don't really know that I didn't feel that sense of being overwhelmed by all the information, but I do agree with the fact that pretty much I agree with what I already said about how it's disappointing that, especially what is annoying about it is they so easily could have intuitively worked out that it was a snake by being oh, hold on a minute, why is he could work out that's the reason he can hear it. You can have one of those moments people have in films where they have a eureka moment, but obviously instead Hermione just has this thing on the basilisk already, which I think is disappointing. So that's my main criticism. I mean, the interesting thing is though, the alternative as I would imagine it would have to be kind of almost drawing out discovering the information, which maybe would make it feel more kind of information coming all at once, because obviously in a way they'd have to, I'm not sure if that would make it feel even more just a slew of information. I'd be interested, so you mentioned having some thoughts about reworking it. What I'm trying to think in my head, because you mentioned the fact that basically there's 3 pieces of information I guess they find out really quickly, which is that 1, it's a snake, 2, that the whole Moaning Myrtle thing, and I guess 3, that Ginny Weasley is the person who's done it, I suppose would be maybe the 3. Well, I think you actually find out more information than that, but the point is, let's say those the 3 main things. The thing is, in a way, almost all of that information has to happen quite quickly.
Well, I suppose so you need to streamline it then. You need to rework it in a major way, which I haven't got on my hands right now.
Okay, yeah. See, I think what I would probably do, if it were up to me, is I would probably try and make it so that you can get the reveal that it's a snake earlier on. Because that way, because that's the one piece of information which doesn't immediately, because obviously as soon as they find out Moaning Myrtle, is the woman who was killed or the girl who was killed, that then gives us an indication as to where the entrance is. At that point, they basically know where the entrance is, because they can just ask her about it. So that's not so good. And then obviously, So yeah, I don't know.
I think what you need, I'm thinking in my head, because the major problem I think is the twist is brought up. Oh, did Hagrid unlock the Chamber of Secrets? And then literally 10 minutes later, they're talking to the spider, and it's like, no, he did not. Like you need a bigger gap between those two. The kids could go to visit Hagrid, and not at that exact moment can Dumbledore and what's he called, Lucius Malfoy show up. Like that can happen in another scene, but again, then you're extending the movie, and it's already very long, which is why I think they had to squash all this together.
You know what? I just had a really good idea.
What?
Okay, so basically, they get suspicious of Hagrid. They go to see him. Hagrid gets arrested, and then he says, "Follow the spiders," because he doesn't know the spiders are going to eat them. So then, when they go to see the spiders, like the spiders attack them.
Are you just saying what happens in the movie?
No. Sorry. You're right. I'll go up to the big thing, and then that actually makes them more suspicious of Hagrid, and they're like, "Oh my god, that monster must have," and I'm like something like that. So then they're more suspicious of Hagrid, rather than it just being like they go in there and it's just like Hagrid's name's immediately cleared, and then like later on they could maybe work like then Harry could have his eureka moment about like realizing it's a snake. And he, like maybe he hears the noise and he's like, it's a snake. Like somehow he comes up with that, and then they look up the basilisk and they see, spiders flee from it, and then maybe you could even have a thing like, here's another thought because I'm a genius, where like the reason they attacked Harry is because they thought Harry was the heir, like, and that works with the whole like him secretly being a Slytherin thing, like, or like what so. Like, and so that, and then that vindicates Hagrid because it's like, okay, well, the reason why the spiders attacked him was because of that. And then also they know it's a snake, and then
Hagrid really fucks them over, doesn't
he? Yeah, he really does. So that's probably how. I think the thing is, in a way, like one of the problems, I guess, is that it is kind of inevitable that one piece of information might kind of follow on from the other, because they'd be like, well, it's a snake, and then like they'd probably think, well, how's it getting around the school? And then. So, it's kind of like, I don't think there's necessarily actually a way to make it, because there are so many moving pieces in the mystery.
I was going to say that's the conclusion I'm dawning on. There are so many moving pieces.
Like, it has to all come one at a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to be honest, I guess the thing is, that doesn't necessarily bother me. I think, like, in a way, like...
It should.
Yeah, maybe I'm just wrong. But to me, like, yeah, I kind of don't mind the idea of, they're like, oh, what happened to him, blah, blah, blah. But yeah. I think
well, why do you think people don't like this movie? I think it's because of that. I think there's a lot of things that are stuffed into this movie. A lot of things, like I'm thinking of the scene with Crabbe and Goyle, where they, Harry and Ron become, fucking Polyjuice. They take the Polyjuice potion and become him. It's like that was set up, and that was given a good, period of time in the movie. That doesn't really need to be in there for the plot to progress. And I guess they could find Moaning Myrtle some other way. And it's just stuff like that where it's like, maybe you could cut that down and then just not have all this information crammed into this movie. Because that's what I was thinking. Would I rewatch this? And I'm like, no, not really, because like there's a lot to get through. Like I think you'd need a major rewrite. But if you streamline this would be a lot better and a lot more satisfying as a mystery movie. But again, I need to really majorly rework it, which I can't obviously do on the fly.
I do like a good rework. No, yeah, I mean the thing is like yeah, maybe I'm just crazy, because I feel like in a way like when like suddenly everything comes together like all at once, I feel like I actually kind of find that more satisfying. But you know what? See, you just asked like why do I think people dislike the movie? So I thought like I'll look up Harry Potter ranked, like like I typed that in, yes. And I found the first list I found had Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets as the lowest, and it does say that basically like that I won't read it out in full, but pretty much the point it makes is that it tries to fit too much in.
Yes.
It says
yes.
It's also the last film to try and fit almost everything from the book into the movie.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yes, It fits so much stuff from the book in, and I'm like, it is unfortunately necessary to cut some stuff. Again, what did I say when I went on that long rant before? I bet this works well in the book. It doesn't work well for a movie, and that is the difference. The pacing, the pacing ain't great, and the pacing can't be great because you have to jam in so much stuff. So they definitely should have cut some stuff, really. That's what I think, and or that's the thing. You'd have to cut some stuff. Maybe you'd have to change the plot completely. I don't know. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a retelling of the Chamber of Secrets from J.K. Rowling. It'd be its own thing with a completely different plot.
Reboot.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you kind of between a rock and a hard place with this one. I'm sure Chris Columbus actually thought that while adapting it. So yeah, again, but apparently you think this is the best fantasy action movie ever. Right. Anyway, so the school staff learns Ginny has been taken into the chamber. And so this is the ending. And nominate Lockhart to save her. which is again like they must know he's a fraud. So I don't know why they just like risk Ginny's life like that.
Yeah, so I wrote, I've under my section on Lockhart, I wrote, everybody knows he's a fraud. It's like the dynamic of Lockhart is a bit weird. I mean, first of all, I want to start with the positive.
Snape definitely knows.
Yeah, the positive is that I think Lockhart's really funny. My favorite bit is
a nice
when
character, yeah.
he's got a painting of himself painting a painting of himself.
Yes.
Like, I just find that so funny. But like, in terms of like his character, it's a bit weird because obviously, like, first of all, I do like the fact that, like, I like Snape being cool because obviously Snape, he's like an interesting character. And I feel like he gets weird later on, but like, so far, like in this film, he's basically just a kind of angry guy, but also kind of cool with like the way he's like so obviously sees through Lockhart, and like the bit where like Lockhart's like, he was helping me answer my fan mail, and then Snape just rolls his eyes. I find it really funny. No, the thing about Lockhart is like, everybody seems to know he's a fraud except for all of the women who seem to love him, which is kind of like, it's kind of a weird dynamic because it's just like, how does,
well, obviously
like,
that it's blinding them. That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's won Witch's Weekly most dazzling smile or whatever it was 5 years in a row.
Yes, and as we know, according to this movie, and this is what I can only infer from this movie, women will just go along. Yes, women will just go along with a man if he seems attractive to them.
This is very incel.
Yes, that's the only thing I can think of. Wait, who wrote this?
Oh, some like hero of women's rights.
Oh, okay, yes, definitely, yeah. Anyway, so Lockhart, the thing is with him, it's fun, you know. But the thing is, I don't find him that interesting because he appears for one book, then he leaves. It's like, oh, when Harry says you're a fraud, I'm like, well, yeah, obviously, like, who cares? Yes, he's a fraud.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
Yes, that's obvious from the start. It's like he's the comic relief almost in a lot of scenes, and it's like this big thing when the comic relief guys call out for just being the comic relief. It's like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, he definitely is the comic relief.
Yes, exactly. But anyway, so again, Harry and Ron, who of course care about Ginny, don't get a better teacher than Lockhart, even though they know he's a fraud. So everyone's just happy for this known fraud to go and save Ginny. Anyway, so once inside, Lockhart tries to stop Harry and Ron by using the memory charm, but of course he seizes Ron's broken wand. The spell backfires, erasing Lockhart's memory and causing a cave-in which separates Harry from Ron and Lockhart. At least they paid off Ron's broken wand.
No, it's kind of like it is a funny little payoff there.
Sorry, go.
Yeah, I was just going to say. It's funny. It's funny that he has lost his memory.
Yeah, no, and that is a funny twist. It is, so that's good. But the problem really is, again, I talked about the Quidditch game being the same as last time. The ending to the movie is the same as the Philosopher's Stone because you have Harry who gets lured into this basement-like dungeon, just like the Philosopher's Stone, and he is cut off from everyone else as well. It is really, hey, it worked the first time, let's do it again.
Just cut him off. Yeah, it is.
Yes, and of course, he gets lured because I think Quirrell needs him in the Philosopher's Stone, right? Quirrell needs Harry, just so he wants him down there, just like, of course, good old Tom Riddle wants him in the Chamber of Secrets. So Harry enters the chamber, and I think it's a pretty cool design. I like the design of the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, I like it too.
It's very, very cool, very nice. I remember seeing. I never watched the Chamber of Secrets all the way through as a kid. I just remember seeing like that last scene. I thought, oh, that's pretty damn cool.
I remember the Lego set.
Great, fantastic. Anyway, so Ginny is unconscious, guarded by Riddle. Riddle reveals that he used the diary to manipulate Ginny into reopening the chamber. Okay, so this isn't a really good twist. This is not.
I think I'm going to agree with you there, actually.
Yes, we have not seen Ginny at all up until this point in the movie, really. So it is quite unsatisfying. It's like, oh, who's opening the chamber? Oh, it's Ginny. Oh, remember Ginny? She's in like 2 scenes earlier on in the movie, and she has 2 lines. Oh, it's her. Oh, great. That's really great. It's so unsatisfying. Like maybe if Ginny had found one of the petrified people first, or the cat, then that would have been better because it's like, oh, she's in another scene. But otherwise, it's just like, oh yeah, Lucius did slip that book into Ginny's basket like 2 fucking hours ago. Oh yeah, like so much shit has happened since then. So yes, I do think that. That could have, I mean, obviously it's in the book, I imagine, but they could have written Ginny to be more involved in the plot because it's, oh fuck, Ginny, really? Ginny, it was her all along. That's not that good.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's a weird situation because, like, I guess there's like two three things. One, yes, it is kind of pointless because like who cares about Ginny? But then I guess you could say the positive might be, well, you know, she is just a conduit. Like the main point is that it's Tom Riddle who did it. So like, you know, she was just a conduit, whatever. I think like maybe the only positive I can say is that like obviously Ginny is relevant. Like she ends up being Harry's girlfriend, right? So I guess like it's setting up other stuff, which is a positive. But obviously, I mean, you know, it's not set up in this film. I think see, it's a difficult thing actually because like it would work better actually if this film was later on, when like it would have been acceptable for Harry and Ginny to be, because you know how Harry and Ginny start dating later on, in like I don't know which one it is, but one of the ones Harry and Ginny are dating, and like if this was a twist at the end of that film, that would be quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously here it's kind of like, yeah, Ginny is unimportant.
Yes, unimportant,
you know, like, who cares?
And just not seen for 2 hours. I remember there is when McGonagall says, "Unless we find the culprit, we'll close Hogwarts."
And then it like cuts to her.
And the first shot is a cut to Ginny, and you, in retrospect, you are like, "Oh, that's a neat shot." But obviously, at the time, you're just showing a bunch of the Gryffindor students, so you don't think anything of it. And that's the thing. The twist has to be satisfying. You have to have her more involved for it to be interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Tom Riddle, he can be a physical being, you know, and he's sucking Ginny's energy.
Yeah,
or whatever.
He's going to come back.
Yes. And his, or Voldemort's, plan was to meet Harry and get him into the Chamber of Secrets to kill him. Again, I like how he says, and I manipulated Ginny, but she threw it away. And who should find it? You. And it's like, well,
yeah,
you know, great.
That is a massive coincidence.
Yes, that's like he made it sound like part of his plan. That's what I'd say with Harry. It was like, wait, that's not part of your plan. You know, you made it sound like it was part of your plan. That wasn't. You just got very lucky there.
Yeah, you just
Yeah. But that's the thing. Voldemort's plan only worked because of that. You know, how many students could have found it? Well, the one who did was Harry Potter. Again, just wonderful. Anyway, so Tom Riddle reveals that he is the heir of Slytherin, and he is Voldemort as well. Here's the thing, it's not an amazing twist that he reveals that he's... Voldemort perhaps is interesting when he reveals, like, I am Lord Voldemort.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I'll give the movie, or, you know, some credit. But the problem is when he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm the heir of Slytherin, I'm the bad guy. It's like, well, obviously, because Hagrid was accused by him, but we know Hagrid... Yeah,
once you know Hagrid is innocent, it's like, obviously.
Yes, obviously. Yeah. Yes, and if I was Harry, I wouldn't be like, oh, Tom, you're the good guy. Tom, help me with Ginny. I'd be like, I'd immediately be suspicious of him because he lied about Hagrid. He made that up about Hagrid. You know, so therefore, yeah, it's not that big a twist that Tom Riddle was a bad guy. But again, he's Voldemort, which is, I guess, decent, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I do think like that twist of like him showing that he is Voldemort is, it is a big moment. Because yeah, I mean the thing is, again, like the problem is, I think it goes back to that it would have been more interesting if Harry would have been like developed a proper relationship with Tom Riddle, you know, more so than he had, because it was pretty minor.
Yes, again, they probably didn't have that much time because they had to stuff so much stuff in. Anyway, so Voldemort, he doesn't care about killing Muggles. He only wants Harry. Again, I just, if he wants to kill Harry so much, I don't get why he just doesn't have one of his fucking minions assassinate him randomly. Like,
yeah, that's true. Like Harry is pretty. Like, to be fair, they could just like send a death squad to his house, kill his whole family. Not too hard.
Yeah, exactly. Or just, you know, like casually, like when he's at school, you know, just, I don't know, fucking drink Polyjuice potion as one of the students and go in and slit his throat. Like, I don't know. It just seems like there's a quite a lot of ways to kill him apart from getting him in this chamber with the basilisk. But whatever, right? This is his plan. He doesn't care about killing Muggles, and obviously, I do think though there is a problem here, which is, of course, you were talking about Harry forms a relationship with Tom Riddle, and that's good. That would be good in the book. What if you just told Harry to go to the bathroom, open the door, do that, open the chamber, go down there, and there you go. You're in the Chamber of Secrets, and now the snake can kill you. So there you go. You don't. That's the thing. He says. He says that he wanted to make Harry trust him with the Hagrid story. There's no need for Harry to trust him, really, and he doesn't really trust him after that, because once the story finishes, again, these are the holes you can point out in this movie, Michael, quite easily. Once the story finishes where Harry shuts the book, and he never sees Tom Riddle again until they have their encounter in the Chamber of Secrets at the end. So there's no need for Harry to trust Tom Riddle up until that point.
Yeah. It would probably be a slightly better plan. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yes.
Maybe it was like. I mean, this would be basically, I was thinking like maybe he like needs to slowly, like he was slowly sapping Ginny's power, and maybe like he needed to like get to a certain power level before he could do it. But it's just me kind of making stuff up.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure. Again, I just think, you've got Harry Potter with the book. Okay, that's great. Like you're winning here. Absolutely, this is what you want. Take him to the Chamber of Secrets now and kill him. But no. You don't. Anyway, and that's the thing. This movie just kind of falls down under the weight of itself. So so many turns to this mystery, and when you get to the end, you look back and you think, wait, not that many turns should have been taken, and it was a slog too. Again, I do like the concept of like finding more about Voldemort and so on, but it's too easy to pick holes in this movie, and it isn't that enjoyable either. Anyway, so Harry expresses his loyalty to Dumbledore, and the latter's pet phoenix Fawkes arrives with the Sorting Hat and the Sword of Gryffindor. Well, thank God Harry brought up Dumbledore, otherwise he would have been fucked, eh?
Yes.
Praise me, Harry, and I'll give you a sword. That's the thing. He only says Dumbledore is the best sorcerer, and that's enough. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm sure that's a conversation kids have in the Hogwarts playground. Who's the best sorcerer? Oh, it's who should not be named. No, it's Dumbledore.
But don't they have wizard cards in the first one?
I do that.
Like the little like Dumbledore's like trading cards.
Yeah. This is every time a kid praises Dumbledore in that trading cards game, he gets given the Sword of Gryffindor.
Yeah.
From Fawkes. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, the snake attacks Harry, and it would have been nice if Harry used Parseltongue first to try and stop it, I thought.
Because you get that line like, he won't listen to you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if he tried first, that would have been better, but I don't know why he didn't. And yeah, Fawkes blinds him. Like, what a bird. Like, he's doing everything. He's the real MVP of this movie,
yes.
Fawkes. Because then
Fawkes definitely is, yeah.
Yeah, he saves Harry again from the venom. And Harry stabs the Diary of the Basilic's Fang after defeating the Basilisk. And destroys Riddle and revives Ginny. And he returns to Hogwarts with his friends and a baffled Lockhart, earning Dumbledore's praise, of course. Harry can do no wrong in Dumbledore's eyes, can he?
No.
Yes, and Hagrid's release. So, last bit of the movie, Michael, with Lucius. So, Dumbledore has Lucius right there, doesn't he?
Yes.
He implies, like, if any of Voldemort's belongings get into Hogwarts again via our students, whoever is responsible will face a harsh penalty. And I'm like, well, why do it? Why you're saying in the future? Why not just do it now? Why not just... Because Harry is an eyewitness. Harry saw Lucius put the book into Ginny's whatever basket.
Yeah, cauldron.
Yes, cauldron, yes. That's what they have, don't they? They don't just have baskets, they have cauldrons. So why doesn't Harry say that again? And again, Dumbledore, Harry is an eyewitness. How did this book end up in Ginny's basket? So, of course, someone would have to have placed it there. Well, Harry, of course, can obviously give the details. Lucius is right there to be arrested. He should be taken to Azkaban immediately, but no. Somehow Dumbledore lets him go. Like...
Yeah, I mean, it could be because obviously, like, I mean... like they're like, you can't really prove it, and you can maybe say,
Harry's
Dumbledore...
the eyewitness, so you can. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, like he could just say, Harry. Like, I bet the thing is, you got to bear in mind, Lucius can probably pay for like the best lawyers. So I feel like the lawyer could be like, Harry Potter he has a rivalry with Draco Malfoy.
You know what? That'll be said when the trial happens.
Yeah. I mean, so I get you, because it's like, obviously, it might, there was no harm in it going to trial.
That's what will happen in the wizard trials, whatever fucking shit they have, which will probably be exactly the same as our trials, because, it's Rowling. Yeah. That's the thing. It's, okay, if that's the defense, fine. Let him make that defense in court. It seems to be a pretty good chance that he'll get sent to Azkaban, and also then, of course, after he secures Dobby's release, Harry with some bullshit sock thing, which obviously everybody knows is stupid. Like, Lucius tries to kill Harry.
Yes, which is ridiculous.
That should be prison sentence number 2, because. Again, if I was Harry, I'd run and tell Dumbledore, "Hey, Lucius Malfoy just tried to execute me. Please, can you now arrest him?" Surely,
to be fair, Harry doesn't know, actually, because they only hear about those spells in the 4th one. So it's one of those weird things, actually, where it only means anything in retrospect.
These are the kind of things that wizard should know like what the death spell is.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if like you were a regular human being, you didn't know what a gun looked like. Someone like took out a gun, and you're just like, oh, what are they doing?
So wait, I'm not meant to know about these until I'm 18. What are you doing there? What is that thing? Yeah. So yeah, I think that would be well known. Just for safety as well. Like, you know, you should tell young wizards like, hey, if somebody's saying this, like, get out the way. You know, because hey, that thing can kill you. And obviously every wizard with a wand can kill someone, so I think it's quite relevant. So yeah, let's conclude. You go first.
Right. So I would say that, to be honest, up until the end, there aren't really any major flaws. I do think there is a lot to like. I think like this film, it does have the classic feel of the original, of the like, you know, early Harry Potter films with the fun, and there is a sense of peril. I think, like, let's cut to the chase. The criticisms. For me, the main criticisms I have still are that I think, you know, like the way the mystery appeared, and it's not that I don't really agree with you, as I already said. I don't really have a problem with like the mystery being kind of all coming at once, or the solution coming all at once. I just wish that they would have kind of worked it out rather than, you know, it just being done off screen. So, and then obviously I think the diary and like having Tom Riddle have more stuff in it. But it's worth noting that what I'm basically saying there is that on the Tom Riddle stuff, I think it was a really great idea and I wish we would have done more of it. The big problem for me, therefore, is that my main criticisms are that they should have done more with it. And then the problem becomes that I also there's nothing in this film that I really didn't want to be there, which creates an issue as far as like, you know, it's not like, for example, oh, they should have really cut this bit so they could have put this other stuff in. Because I actually do like, you know, Lockhart, and I like Dobby, even though you could say those scenes aren't maximally necessary. But I enjoy them. And I still do enjoy this film. And yeah, to be honest, if you were to ask me which Harry Potter film I would want to watch, it would probably be this one more than any of the others. But yeah, I suppose like the main reason why I think it's the best fantasy action adventure film is because I do think like that mystery aspect, and also the you know, the relationship between Harry and Voldemort, I think is the most interesting thing. And I think it's something missing from every other fantasy action adventure film. When I think about other fantasy action adventure films, the other things would be like Lord of the Rings. And Lord of the Rings is great, but then it's kind of like, there isn't that kind of really complex dynamic between Frodo and Sauron or anything like that. And that kind of complexity I like. And it is there. And, you know, the only thing I wish is that it would have been more there. And for that reason, you know, I like this film, and I'm gonna give it a middling 9 out of 10. And I know, like there's some criticisms, but it's just
the thing is, you know, it's not a middling 9 out of 10. You know, it's not that good. We've been through the flaws. You know, it's not that good. I think this is your own nostalgia talking. Like, you watched this movie as a kid and you really liked it.
I totally. The thing is, like, okay, I will say this on the subject of nostalgia. It is definitely true. One of the reasons I like this film is because of like the feeling of it. But which obviously, you know, you could say, well, that's not a legitimate reason. But I think, like, the thing is, I do feel like it is actually, because the thing is, like, for example, I think, like, the later films don't have that same feeling. And even if you would have seen them as a kid, like, I don't think anyone's going to get, like, nostalgic for, like, the Order of the Phoenix.
Okay, so, I get that. But
yeah. So I feel like it's so I will admit there is a nostalgia aspect, but I think it's a combination of the nostalgia and the fact the film does do a good job at it, you know.
Yes, there is the acts of yeah. I think because the mystery is based around Hogwarts, perhaps that's what's good, and it still feels like kind of more high stakes than the first one, not as high stakes as the latter ones, so you can still have fun, and it's still like escapism because they're still kids and they're not dealing with, you know, as serious like political issues like in the later movies when things, you know, it's because it's still very much Hogwarts centric, so maybe that's why. But for me, again, there are other movies from this time period which are more Hogwarts-centric, which are better. Namely, the next two movies coming up, Azkaban and the Goblet of Fire. So you can have your nostalgia, you can have your feeling, and you can still enjoy those movies because they have better plots, or not better plots necessarily, better executed plots than this one. And then that's the thing. Again, it's pretty simple for me. There is just too much shit in this movie. There is just too much shit. And, you know, of course, they apparently try to jam everything in from the books. And the thing is, that isn't a problem while watching this movie until you get to that stage, an hour and a half in, when everything is thrown at you, because I think maybe Chris Columbus realised, or whoever wrote this, that the movie is going to be super long. Okay, it's already the longest in the Harry Potter, you know, series. So we're going to have to speed run this mystery solving part. And we can do that because, of course, hey, one thing leads into another, etc. Like, it works in that regard. But why it doesn't work is it's not that satisfying. It should be slower and more impactful rather than all this mystery solving being jammed into this like 20 to 25 minute period. Like, it's a nice concept with the mystery. It's a good setup. I do like the stuff with Harry and Voldemort and the history of Hogwarts. That's a great thing to have in your second like movie of this fantasy action thing franchise, which again I like. But yeah, unfortunately, it does fall down with just the amount of stuff that was in it. This needed to be more streamlined, but again, I think it's very hard to make this movie more streamlined without just tearing out things from the book and making it a very different movie than the book. And that would not have been acceptable, I think, to J.K. Rowling. That definitely wouldn't have been. So yes, I think this is what had to happen. Rating, Michael. This is not going to be a. It's not going to be a 9. It's not going to be a 9. It is either, the thing is, I'm not going to give it the same rating as the Philosopher's Stone.
I can't remember what you gave the Philosopher's Stone.
I gave it a 6 out of 10. I think this one, I like the plot is far more interesting, I think. The plot concept is far more interesting. So, what's going on in the Chamber of Secrets? And it does keep you intrigued until, the execution, like I said, is off. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Like, it's marginally better than the Philosopher's Stone. Anyway, so there you go, 6 and 6.5 out of 10 for me. And if we ever do Azkaban and the Goblet of Fire, maybe we'll have our views switched around.
Which would be fun.
Yeah, it is interesting that the two movies you like the most are the two movies which you saw when you were youngest.
Yeah, that is true. I do. Yeah. I am a little baby.
You are a little baby, that is for sure. What are we doing next week?
Next week, we're continuing the 2002 streak, as we should be, with Catch Me If You Can, and I believe we're also celebrating the release of a film called The Fabelmans. Now, what's the association there? Is it because it's a Steven Spielberg thing?
Steven Spielberg.
Yes, of course.
It's literally based on his life, The Fabelmans. Join us next week for the Catch Me If You Can, another little mini 2002 run. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.